Well, hello, hello, hello. We are back again, live here. Hopefully the volume's not too loud. I didn't touch anything. Okay, everything looks good. Everything looks great. Let's flip the screen over. Dun, 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 dun. Here we are, here we are. All right, so tonight we're going to be setting up a PA system live on the Friday Night Live show. And so for this show, we're going to have mixer. We're going to have two powered speakers. This came in 10-inch only because, you know, I have to fit it on the table. We're going to be using a subwoofer, 12-inch, because, again, I have to fit it on the table. And we're going to be doing all that with some brand new cables I got from AA. Yes, and I'm only going to say that I seem like I'm hesitating because in Canada here, I used to have a partner program with a company, and they were called Audio Acoustics, and this happens to be audio accessories from the US. They're also available pretty much all over the world too. So they do XLR cables as well. There's lots of AA, but audio accessories. Now, we've partnered up with them so we can have these cables here. So there's my disclosure. Oh. Plus, of course, Harbinger always supplies me with great products. So there's my disclosure there. Oh. And we're going to have a good time doing this. Because you know why? Because we're doing it live, which means basically you're going to hear me huff and puff, and I'm going to whack the mic, and it's going to be like really, really fun. And really, really fun right now is I've got myself no YouTuber should be without. Because for some particular reason, it seems nobody can actually have a YouTube channel with a talking head, which is, by the way, when somebody like me talks to you, and not have a whiteboard. Ooh, I got myself a whiteboard today. Well, actually, I got it yesterday, but this is so I can, you know, do real important drawings on it. So if we're talking about everything we're going to talk about, and we're going to deal with a couple of speakers right here, and we're going to deal with a mixer right here, we're going to entertain all these people down here. That is what we're going to do. That's why I got a whiteboard. I'm sure it'll come in handy. We'll figure that out. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Pretty simple stuff. We've got a couple of cameras. Hopefully it's going to cover all the space we need. We've got one speaker here. You can see that. I've got another speaker here. We've got a stand, because I'm throwing in all the accessories here, so this is what you see. This stand here is really good if you have a small portable controller you need to use, or a mixer especially, and you want to have easy access to your laptop while using it. So watch this whole thing come together. I'm going to push that button. I'm going to push this button here. That's going to come flat. This will fold all the way over. There we go. I'm going to put it down one step so this way it's easier to look at. Just like that. We're going to bring this up a bit. Height adjustable. And you can do anything you want with it. Normally you put a mixer here in your laptop there or whatever else, but I use it for putting laptops on. For putting mixers on. So we're going to put this here. So when we actually get the actual mixer on the table, we'll be able to see it off the other camera. Now, what do we need to do? We're going to need some cables, which I have in here. Subwoofer and second speaker are right here as well. So we're going to need to get all that going. So let's put the cables over here for now. Let's see how we're going to make this all happen. I didn't mock this up yet, by the way. I just kind of assumed it was all going to fit on here. And you know what happens when you assume. Let's not get into that. We're going to place the speaker backwards because this is the business end of things, and this is what we're going to want to see. Now we're going to try and fit that subwoofer right there, and we're going to try and fit it up there backwards. And here comes the huffy part. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now we have a speaker, we have a subwoofer, we have another speaker. We change the camera angle, and we should be able to see what's going on over there too. And there we go. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so between those two camera angles, we're going to have everything covered, and we'll be able to talk our way through things. So we're going to get the mixer on here, and then we'll work on the cabling, and we'll talk about setting it up a little bit at the same time. Now, everybody's makes it look so simple and easy. If you're having a party, if you're planning on renting system and you're now at home going, holy shit, I got to set this all up now. They just said it was going to be a couple of little things and nothing to worry about, and here I am with all this stuff. Well, we're going to cover it. Brand is not important when it comes to this, okay? The idea of how we hook this up is what really matters, okay? So the thing is, this could have been Yamaha, this could have been Mackie, this could have been anything else, Electro Voice, could have been a combination of JBLs and Soundcraft, could have been whatever you think it could be. But that's where, you know, the good part is that you don't have to worry about that. I'm just spinning the cameras over a little bit. There we go. Now, cables. The nice folks, like I said, over at Audio Accessory. Now, I'm going to show you this because this is what impressed me. I actually reached out to them and they said, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. And to be honest, this cable, pretty crazy. Okay, first of all, they use speak-on connectors, all right? So these particular speak-on connectors are the ones you're going to find in China, all right? So that's a good thing. Not all the silver ones. There's a particular model that's only available in Taiwan. This isn't it. But this is still a very good connector. And like I said, it's a Nutrix connector. Not speak-on, it's a Nutrix. Sorry, why did I say that? It's a Nutrix connector. And of course, that's their cable. You know it's their cable because they put their name on it. So it's got a heat shrink here, but more importantly, I don't know if you can see this. It's braided. It's got a braided jacket over the whole cable. So it's not a rubber cable. Can you hear that? I don't know. Anyways, it's braided. It's a fabric covering the whole thing. Makes it incredibly tough, incredibly set up for doing exactly what we want. Now, it comes in an amazing amount of sizes. I got two sizes to get a start. I think I got 10 and 25 footers. But this is really nice. The rubber ring inside works out really well. Everything you're looking for, if you're looking for XLR cables, they cost a couple of bucks more. These aren't the cheapest cables you're going to find on Amazon, okay? And the link's going to be down below for these guys. So by all means, show them the love because this is a really nice cable. And it's one of these, if somebody doesn't talk about it, I think people would look at it and just go past it because it costs a couple of bucks more. But it costs a couple of bucks more because the graded quality of the actual cable's better. In that case, they can actually use a actual thinner overall package. Also, the connector's way, way better than a lot of them are out there. It's serviceable, so you can disassemble the whole thing and service it if you want. Personally, I wouldn't really want to get in there. I made XLR cables. I think I have a video on my other channel of me making an XLR cable. I should make a set for this channel so this way you can see what I do here. And yeah, and then this all goes back together again. Patience is a virtue, by the way, when putting this back together, because you want to make sure you line it right up the right way the first time. There's a notch in there. You got to find that notch and you got to let it go in that notch. Okay. And we'll get there. And that's it, but let me compare. You know, you should look at things before you take things apart and say, yes, that's where the notch is. See, this is live. That's what live does for you. Okay, so that notch is not there. That notch is up there. Take it apart again. Spin it around a bit more. See, it's good when you have a pair, because when you have a pair, you can do that. Ta-da! So much easier when you know what you're doing. There we go. That is in there. Okay. So we got one cable, and we got the second one. Now, we're going to be hooking this up two ways today. So to make it interesting, we're going to be hooking it up the straightforward instruction manual way, which is out of the mixer, into the subwoofer, into your main speakers. Then we're going to be going the other way, which is going to be going from the mixer straight to the main speakers, and we're going to run a different cable off the aux into the subwoofer, which means we're going to have independent subwoofer control from the main speakers. Very, very cool. So here's our second cable. All right. So before we go turning things on and all that kind of stuff, so in this case, of course, we're going to turn this off because it's on from before. we're going to run cables, make sure our power, everything's where we need it, we're all good. And if you're running this at home, don't think that most speakers are going to blow a breaker, because they're not the speakers that your parents might have had 30 years ago or plus, where they were just power hungry beasts that did all the work and consumed all the power. So in this case, we're going to take our XLR cables that we have, we're going to take our short ones. So remember, if you're renting this equipment, make sure the guy hooks you up with all the cables before you go home for your party. And if you're doing this, if you're going out and buying a pair for yourself, think about, am I covering all the bases with the cables? Especially, it depends on where you buy it, right? If you buy it at Guitar Center, you're probably going to find somebody there who's going to be able to make sure and talk to you about the most important things, and you'll be all set. Be good if I actually plug this in the right way. So on the actual subwoofer, we're going into the sub. So we're going to take our cables, plug them into the sub. We're going to occupy both channels today. This speaker happens to have 2 input channels. We're going to grab the other ends and we're going to go over to the mixer. Now I'll cover the mixer up closer when we get to it, but we're just going to cover some of the speakers first, and then we'll come back to the mixer. Do that, get those cables back there. So don't worry, we're not ignoring the mixer. We're just going to take care of the speakers, and then we'll talk about the mixer when we get there. Beautiful box. I'm glad I talked to these folks. They've got a really nice piece. You need something, you know, they were really nice to hook me up and get me all set up with some cables, because these are the right kind of cables to do this kind of job. Very, very nice. If you have a studio, by the way, I mean, I can't see outside of making your own cables. Wow. I mean, if you're going to look at a cable or step on a cable or drive a hand truck over a cable, by the way, no forklifts or anything like that. This is a great cable to do that. It's really, and it relaxes really well too. It's just really, really impressive. So let's get the speaker set up here. So now we're going to come out of one, and we're going to go in out of the sub, and we're going to get ourselves the other end, which I threw on the floor, which I guess I didn't have to, and plug that into number 1. Make sure our levels are down, because, you know, I have a bad habit of leaving levels up on things. And now we're going to grab the next cable. Now this is just to show you. Look at a honking zip tie on that thing. They put big, big zip ties on it. Like this was all, you know, handmade, custom made, boom, and then they zip tied it. Very impressive. But not something you're going to take off with some twist ties. You're going to need to get yourself something like a wire cutter or something that's going to get that zip tie. We're talking the big zip ties too, not little dainty ones. You're not chewing those off. Awesome. Something to pick up off the floor later on. And here we go. So now we've only got one spot left in the back of this subwoofer. So here we go. We're going to plug in to the output of that second channel. And then we're going to come across and we're going to plug into the speaker, which is a whole 1 foot away. So now we've got our mixer connected to our subwoofer, connected to our main speakers. So we're going to put the plugs on there, but we're not going to turn them on. And again, it sounds like I'm being redundant about this conversation, because I am. Because you know what? Everybody's got a different skill level. So very important. Again, if you're renting speakers, you're renting a system, make sure, if you're renting just for to upgrade your system for a bigger show, a lot of people do that. You know, you've got your big ass system that you use every single day, and then you turn around and you need something even bigger because you got that 1 gig that's now, instead of 250 people, it's now 500 people. Then you rent some equipment. You make sure that your cables can interconnect with what you're renting, or make sure to have those cables included in the rental. So there you go, because you don't want to be running out last minute because you think you have everything. So there you go. Everything's all set, notoriously on, like I said. And yeah, so let's go to the mixer and work on that. So we're going to spin that camera off to the other side. You know, I do have a remote control way of doing that, just that I can't find the remote control. Didn't think of it until just now. So here we go. Power cord for the mixer. And we'll talk about the fact that I've already plugged in the mixer because that was what we did on the first half there. Power cord into the power bar. We're gonna get this guy up here, makes life easier. This is gonna get plugged into the back, just like that. There we are. That's all set. We're gonna pull ourselves all the lines that we need to look at. We're gonna turn everything down. See, you can tell. You just go back and watch my last video that I used the LX12. I love this mixer, by the way. I talk a lot about other mixers and I talk a lot about Harbinger in general. I used to talk about speakers. I always forget to really talk about these mixers because this mixer, the LX12, it smokes pretty much anything that's even $100 more expensive than it. It's going to have some features more than others and less than some others. You know, when you compare all of it, if you took a list and you made a shopping list of all the features, but this has that extra monitor input that we're talking about that I always make fun of because the Mackie Pro FX10 V3 does not have. This has it here. And this has 4 compressors, which, by the way, on an average mixer can cost you, think, $50 a pop. So that would be $200 on a regular mixer to have 4 compressors on the mixers. This one has 4. Most of them, at best, might give you 2 if they give you any at all. Now, this also has a USB control system to it. And on the Mackie, which is the reason why I use the Mackie and not this guy, is this guy has a standard, just like most mixers, 2 channels in for the USB for your laptop and 2 channels out for your laptop. Where the Mackie, if you need that, if you need what the Mackie has, then you know you need what the Mackie has, which is 4 out of your laptop into the mixer. So 2 for channel 1 and 2, and then another 2 for channel 3 and 4 on theirs. Where here, this is going to be your standard. You know, my USB is, where is my USB? It's right here somewhere. Right here. Here's the button. It's lined up on this channel. Now, one thing I do like about this one when it comes to the USB option is that they didn't just put it off to the side like Alto did, which is just, you know, a button on the dial on the side, like over here, with no functionality or control. Basically, you can listen into the source or you're not. Here, they put it actually on this channel right here. So now I can actually gain control of the whole thing right here. Very smart, very nice. Now, if I need to do a mix minus with it, and if you're not familiar, just Google mix minus, or go on YouTube after and watch mix minus. I can run my mix minus through here. So this way, if I'm taking a call or something like that, Bluetooth, that sort of thing. It is workable. So there you go. Let's plug this into the laptop, and then we'll start turning everything on. Now, if you had a controller, and I'm going to plug this in, and then I'm going to show you a controller that I'm talking about. So we're going to be unplugging this guy. We're going to be plugging this guy in instead. Let's just unplug this guy temporarily. Yep. Let's plug this guy in here. When we get there, this should all work for us. Tell me I had that off the whole time, because that would have been one heck of an echo. Hopefully you weren't hearing an echo or a long delay or something else in the background. Okay, and here we go. Just getting things all set up here, so we're still running just fine, waiting for this to go. Hello, hello, hello. Just want to see the music playing on the background here, so when we want it, it will be there for us. Oh, that's what I did. I killed the music from there. Well, let's not do that. Excellent. Back to the music. All right, just waiting for me to turn on the laptop, everything here. So yes, I wanted to show you one last thing before we move on. So I've had all kinds of controllers in my showroom. I sold them all off. I didn't need all those other controllers, but I did keep this one at the end. When I was finished, I had this one last one. I said, you know what, I'm gonna hang on to this one. So I hung on to this one for me. So this way I have a controller. Now, when it comes to DJ controllers, think of me as the NASCAR mechanic, not the actual NASCAR driver, okay? I can operate this, I can make it work, I can do everything, but I'm not going around the track 200 miles an hour. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So now this is important. USB output for your controller to your laptop. Now, on my laptop, I can choose to either have my audio output sources here, which a lot of people do. But if you want to do it properly, you also have the choice, it says, to use your internal audio output. And what they're really talking about is whatever you have plugged in to your laptop. So if you have a mixer plugged into your laptop as well, you can choose it to be your audio output source. So you're still going to use your headphones off of your controller. So your controller is going to be your main. They're talking about the main output. So when they talk about the main output gains, so the control dials that are going to run the main volume out of your system, that's what they're talking about. Okay, so with these level controls here, this is what they're talking about. This is going to go to the mixer instead of coming out the RCA plugs. That's it. And that's going to give you much, much better quality of sound, and you're going to be able to run your speakers much more efficiently and much louder, because better output means better quality of sound all the time. So now we can start turning things on. Here's where it gets tricky. You got to remember, I want to turn everything on going that way. So this is really good. You want to start with your source and work your way to your last piece of equipment that you've hooked up. So of course this is an output, so it's out of here into the subwoofer. This is the very first piece of hardware. If I had wireless microphones plugged in here, I would turn them on first. But in this case, we're going to turn the mixer on first, just like that. There's no popping in the hardware. That's the switch. It's a hard mechanical switch on the back. Why do we do that? We don't want to see any popping sounds or anything like that going on at the end. We're going to take a quick glance on the mixer. We're going to make sure all the gains that we want are turned down. Everything else is not being used. So all the gains up here are back to 0. All the level outputs are 0. Our slider's at 0. Ta-da! Now, next, this is plugged in to the subwoofer. So we can see the sub from there. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that my volumes are down. My outputs are set up properly. Everything looks good. And I'm running it at +4 because I'm coming off of that in XLR form. So it should be right there. Now I'm going to turn it on. Then I'm going to make my way to the last speaker. And now, because I've turned my subwoofer on, I know it's engaged. I'm going to check my volume levels on the speaker, and I'm going to say, yes, I can turn the speaker on. Remember, the subwoofer is between the mixer and the main speaker. So I definitely want to turn that subwoofer on after the mixer, and then I want to turn my main speakers on last. Making sure everything is in the right settings. So in this case, they all have to be in the live settings. This way, everything's all good. And now we've hooked all this equipment up, and it's hooked up. So this way, the speakers are hooked up direct in line with the subwoofer. So now we're just going to have the main volume running everything. Now, of course, we're running off of here. So we want our USB on, and then we're going to bring up the gain just a little bit here. We're going to give ourselves a sample volume of -20. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give ourselves a sample volume of 9 o'clock there. Just bring it up just a little bit, enough that I know that I'm going to hear it when everything's playing, because I need some sample music to go with it. So here we are. Did I do this right? We're going to find out here in a second, because I'm going to check. And will it play this time? Because it didn't want to play last time. There we go. We are playing. We are playing, and we've put that in a loop. And we're going to check our volume level. We're at 50. We're going to drive that up to 75. Okay, if we did this right, we come over here. We're going to turn this gain up here a bit. Oh yes, there we go. So I'm going to leave that at 75. I'm going to bring up the slider here. So we're going to leave this still at about -10. And we can bring up the sub if we want to hear more sub. Now, of course, let's be fair. I'm facing the back of the whole system, so it's not going to sound like you expect it to, but the impression is there. Subwoofer can be balanced, and my main volumes can be adjusted. Now, because the way we've set it up, everything's now controlled through here. I tweaked the levels of my sub with the main speakers, and we're all set to go. Normally what my goal is that if I was hooking this up in an actual space, my backyard, or I was setting up for a band setup in the garage, or maybe I'm doing a gig for an actual wedding and I want to set this all up, when I start my testing, it'll be at Unity, 0 up here. Then I can control bringing up the speakers to match the room size. And then everything will be set, so this way I can bring this back and down and adjust it. I'm trying to achieve a meter level here of 0 at Unity. So I'm going to turn the speakers down here so we can get to that, and then I'll show you how little speakers I need to turn on once we get to that point. So here we are. I'm going to bring this up to Unity, and we're going to go from -20. We need to drive that up here. So we're going to bring this dial up here. So now we're at 12 o'clock here, and it's going to be higher or lower, but that's where I want. I'm just tweaking on the actual zeros. So now if I turn up the speakers just a little bit, because remember before I had them set at 9 o'clock, so think of it, that was just up off the bottom. So now I'm literally going from 0. If we said the volume had a scale of 1 to 10, we're going to basically go to 1. That's 1. Subwoofer. That's a 1. Second speaker, 1. Now I'll go stand in front of it so you have a disproportionate feel to it all. Now these speakers can easily have been cranked up to at least 50%, if not more with that. I'm going to look to manage the limit lights on the back. I haven't added any extra bass or treble, and I haven't adjusted it here. That is just purely the audio track running through the system and out to the speakers. All that's great and a perfect setup. Now I can make it better. I can do that. What I can do is I can give myself the ability where instead of just always doing this, where I'm turning everything up and everything down, and having bass and treble controls here, I can do one step better. I can turn the volume off there. I am now going to temporarily turn the speakers off, and we're going to change the wiring configuration of this system. Okay, and how are we going to do that? We are, by the way, I did that wrong. You notice the pop is because I didn't turn that second speaker off before I turned off the subwoofer. Me bad. And that's, by the way, why you do it that way. So what are we doing? We're going to go straight from the mixer to the main speakers. So we need which cables left, because I've got them in my hand here. I got to drop 2. Drop that one. Drop that one. Okay, there we go. So we're going to unplug this speaker. We're going to plug in here. Look at that. No, so we're not hooking up the subwoofer. What's going on? We're not hooking up the subwoofer. Well, if you've watched my channel before, you know where we're going with this. We're going to grab a different cable. We're going to grab a cable that fits in right here. That plug right there is what we're going to go for. We're going to go for the monitor output, this guy here. Now again, this could have been a 1/4 inch balance to 1/4 inch balance. Could have been unbalanced. Unbalanced could be what we have here, which is an unbalanced to, well, XLR. Just happens to be what I have available for me to do this setup. Bingo. That's going to go there. This is going to go into input number 1 on the back of the sub. Right here. Now remember, the same song's playing in the background, and it's still there. Okay, if I turn this up, There it is, metering away and just like crazy like it was before. Now we got to turn things on. Now it doesn't really matter which one to turn on because the subwoofer is not running the lines out to the speaker. So I can turn everything on in sync, just one after the other. I'm not worried about that at all at this point. Everything's on, everything's where I left it volume-wise, right? So we're gonna leave that there, we're gonna leave that there. This is gonna be the difference, okay? So once we see the song playing again, we'll be all set. I turn this up here. We're waiting for the song to restart. You know why I know the song's not there? It's not playing. So we're gonna turn this up a bit. Now watch what I can do now. No sub, by the way. Turn this yellow knob. We're gonna dial this guy up, at least to 50. Now we're gonna come to this yellow knob here. This guy is subwoofer only. This main. No sub, sub. I can have this speaker on just a little bit, and now I can adjust my sub right there. I can be as happy as I want with that, and I can adjust the sub to make it exactly what I want because this sub has a built-in crossover on it. So I went from full range, which is that. Okay, I'm gonna turn up a bit. If you notice it, let me know. If you can't tell it's there, can't tell it's there, I get you. That's full range. It's very loose, okay, it's very loose. I'm gonna tighten it up. I'm gonna go from 180, I'm gonna dial it down to 90. The sub is much, much tighter now. It sounds really nice, doesn't have that poppy, loosey sound to it. You know, the sound that sounds cheap. That's how I explain it. It's like, you lost me, sound good. If your subwoofer sounds loose, floppy, and cheap, it's probably because the crossover is way too high on it and you need to dial it down. If you don't have a crossover at source, which is quite normal, you'll have a crossover on the back of the subwoofer. That's what's gonna do it for you. And there you go. Turn up your mains, or you can turn up your sub. Just like that, no sub, full sub. You gotta like that. That's the best part right there. That's how I run this place because I have 15-inch sub over there. When I'm running the big wall has two 12s and two 18s on it. All of that's controlled independently by controlling all the power relays. Plus, I also have everything set up on its own actual crossover splitter system. So this way everything's run separately. And on that system, I run on the big mixer. I use 2 channels to run the subs, and I use all the other channels to run the mains in different configuration. So that's how easy that is. So there we go. And what else do you need to do? There's only one thing left to do. That's set up a microphone. So we're gonna get ourselves a mic and be all set. You probably thought I was going to pull either a Sterling microphone or a Shure microphone, but today I've got the actual ND76 from Electrovoice. Hey, that's a mic there, not something you see every day. That's somebody who likes to drink Dr. Pepper would buy this guy. It's a very good microphone. It's just off the beaten path, you know what I'm saying? It's not the microphone that you see most people playing around with. It's a very good microphone, and it's in the same price range. Excuse me. So this mic will get plugged in right here. I'm using the X Vibe, not the one that I premiered this afternoon on my afternoon show. This is the U3. It's the original. This is the 2.4. This guy plugs in here. I'll be featuring a whole video on this guy, which is the new one, which I just picked up today. And very, very nice. We're going to go through the whole series and talk about that, but that was really nice. Now, need to check to make sure they're both in the same channel. Channel 2, channel 2. Let's bring this guy up a bit, gain-wise. And let's turn up the actual volume on that. There we go. So we're all set, we're all running on there. And the compressor, basically, if I had a whole bunch of people talking at the same time, or maybe I just myself, but normally I do this on the computer afterwards because I'm a talking head and everything I do needs to get compressed afterwards, not so much before. But here we go. what can I do with this? Well, notice I'm not on the subwoofer because the sub's not on, which is good, because if I turn the sub up, you're gonna notice I get very boomy all of a sudden. That's what happens there. I get very boomy on the bottom end. If I turn this guy down, you'll notice that by me turning this up. That's how you get onto the sub. Now, I'm gonna turn this down. But remember, my voice is not pushing it below, 80 hertz, 90 hertz, so not too dominant there. Now, I do have an EQ, so I can adjust things, make things sound differently, make it happy for me. And at the same time, we can do one more thing. What was I gonna do? Oh yes, of course. The life won't be done unless you turn on some effects, which is there, effects levels, adjust that. And here we are. What effects do I have on? Because it seems to be awfully boring. Chorus. Let's just give it some, let's go just straight up. This mixer has so many great effects on it. If that's your thing, right? So I'm just going to 20 just to put a delay chorus right in there like that. Turn up the volume. I just want to exaggerate it. Let's turn down the actual speed. So it has adjustment levels, so every effect is unlimited. So you have 24 of them, and then you can make it subtle or you can make it extreme just by doing that right there. And that's it. That's as easy as that works. So we've done everything you really need to do with a mixer. Now, of course, you can play around and adjust things, and it's very important with the whole system, and it's fun to use. I don't know, does anybody have any questions? Let's take a look-see at the big board. All right, so I got a question from Rick. Good question. Good question. So, Rick's question has to do with, will he be able to control his subwoofer if he has the Mac, because I know he just bought it, the Mackie Pro FX 10V3. And the answer is, yes, you can, if you don't want to use the effects. So that's very, very key. So let's see if we can't get a camera anywhere closer to this and show you. Okay. First, I'm going to make a little adjustment here. So we're in the question period, so you got to make sure you get everything easy enough. I just want to get this over here set up, and I'm trying to determine the best way to do this. I'm going to flip cameras, and then you're going to see the crazy little thing I'm going to try and do to move a camera around the corner. Okay, so there we go. Now, if anyone wants to see how I set the speakers or anything like that, or what some of these speakers can do, let me know, because I do have independent videos on all of them, but I'm willing to cover anything that anybody may have as a question. So there you go. I'm going to come here, I'm going to do this. Look at it. So there you go. You can see I'm going to reach that all the way over there. We're going to unlock this, spin this around. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. We're getting there. It's done. Got it there, got it there. So now I can swing this over. All right, here we go. The most cockeyed look at a mixer that I can probably figure out for you, okay? So here you go. This is a different mixer. I've spoken about this mixer a lot. Let me just pause this here for a second. So I'm not talking over the music that I'm now standing right in front of. That's better. So here we are. This is the Mackie Pro FX 10V3. And it is running some shortfalls on it when it compares to what we're looking at. 2 compressors, yes, not 4. And we're missing a strap right here, a ribbon right across here. So that is your monitor out. Now, it doesn't mean that this guy doesn't have a monitor out on it. It just means that it's not set up the same way as the Harbinger. In this case, if you want, you come over here. In place of using the actual FX send option, sorry, the built-in effects, which is these guys here, you're going to use this plug right here where it says FX send right next to the headphone jack. So if I unplug the headphone jacks, there's FX send. That takes over the output of this line here. So you're not going to have controls separate for your main room out. Now, what you can do, this is your choice, and of course I'm just looking at this now, I'm going to assume, because they put the headphone control levels separate from their level control for their control room. So there's two knobs right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's two dials right here. Headphones and control room out. It is very important to say that I may be able to, should be able to run my subwoofer out of the control room and still use the effects. So now there's only one way to figure out if that's a true statement. I gotta figure out how to test this right now. Nah, that's another video. I'll confirm it. But I'm gonna confirm that, because I can't use that mixer as the one I'm running the whole thing. I'm just probably gonna lose everything. So we're gonna say that is my idea. My idea would be to hook up my subwoofer here, use the control room output for those speakers there. That'll still pull off the entire board, and then use my main outs up here. So that's pretty much the best way to do it. I would do that as a try, which would be great, because then that solves a problem that I've been concerned about ever since I realized I didn't have a monitor output, which was not until I paid attention to it just a week ago. And I've been with this mixer for years. It just wasn't something that I crossed my path with on that particular one. That's because the model previous to it, the version 2, which was an 8-channel, did have it. I can't move that just yet. There we go. So, Ricky, you can either try it on your own, or you can let me know how that works. All right. And James got a question. We're going to cover it, see what he's got there. It's crazy you're talking about this now. This is basically the question I have for you tomorrow. No worries. No. Your question is way different for you tomorrow. I'm gonna leak a little thing that I may be having a collab with James. I'm leaking that. I know you got to announce it on your channel. You got to put a little thing. It's gonna happen. It's gonna take a little while, but we're gonna start talking about this. How to properly hook up your system. Now, his question, his video, when that time comes, it's going to be much bigger. His video is it's going to be more of a how to get the maximum volume out at a gig. Now, his question is going to be how to hook up his system properly. It's going to vary a bit, but it's going to be one of two variations of what we're doing now. I wouldn't be too far off from that, because James is a pretty smart guy. He hooks up things all the time, but I wouldn't say it's off from one of these two setups. That's for sure. Outside of the mixer and the controller being an option, that would just really be what I would look at. So there you go. I think we've pretty much covered everything, right? We've been doing this now 45 minutes. I don't want to bore anybody with any more of this, but yeah, so we've got everything covered here. I'm going to pull over the camera, get it on the other side. I'm just checking to make sure everything's fine. And yes, I don't know why I didn't switch that over before. There's no reason to have that there. There we go. But at the end of the day, I have a whiteboard. So I've been thinking about it, and I know I wanted to do this. I was joking with this before. So I nearly need to get I have a better eraser than that. We're going to cover one thing that's very important, that if you're trying to power manage, and this is a big thing, right? Lots of DJs are very, very good at what they do. Great, because a DJ, you are a jack of all trades when it comes to the industry. And let me just give my hat off to anybody who does that profession. It's a lot of work. There's people who do sound reinforcement, sound engineers. They come out, they do live shows. That's what I do a lot of times, and that's the guy who sets up all the equipment, makes sure it's running right, gets the big show set up, and then a DJ or a performer or a magician or whoever it is, right? You know, sometimes it's just a presentation, people doing what they do, right? It's like, we're here today to talk about whatever governmental thing they want to talk about. You know, just that kind of shit. Anyways, then there's DJs. DJs are above and beyond. So now there's two types of DJs today. Yes, you know, there's David Guetta and that sort of thing, where you're creating music and you're DJing, and that can just get like crazy wild. And then there's people that are like that, and they do all the bars and the restaurants, the clubs, the weddings and shows. And the guys who go out and do the parties, weddings, and shows, that's the people think that's the easy one. I know guys who run actual clubs, and I know for a fact that their job is easier than the guys I know who do weddings. So what you're looking at when you talk about power management is very important, because normally if you think just regular stuff like home, anybody who's had a home theater or has a receiver, a stereo, something at home that has a volume knob on it, you play, and I'm going to go old school. Why am I saying CDs are old school? But anyways, sorry. If you're playing a fixed audio source, anything, and you normally just play it at regular full 75% volume, because that's zero. Most people, by the way, if you look at your phone has a unity part on it. So when you turn it up, your Bluetooth is showing up gray, and the volume's moving up, and it's, you know, it's green, 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 green. And then it gets to a certain point, and your Bluetooth logo or the volume itself turns yellow, cautionary yellow. And that's usually about 3/4 of the way up, because now it's exceeding unity. It's giving you more output than zero. So whatever the input is, it's taking the input, and now it's going to add up to 10% to that. But normally most equipment runs at a fixed volume level. The preamps are fixed. Your TV plays to your home theater system, and you've set it to, I want to have it run through my home theater system. It's no longer on variable, it's on fixed audio. CD players, fixed audio. All type of audio equipment, fixed audio. That's just normal. Even digital equipment. If you have a digital box, all that kind of fixed audio. I'm talking about when you're not controlling it with the remote control. In the old days, it was pretty simple. Your turntable, cassette player, and CD players are all fixed audio output. Those are on a continuous basis. Your volume adjustment is done from the volume knob. Now, the volume knob is a combination of two things, your amplifier and preamp. Now, because the preamp is prefixed as an input, we're not going to drive that gain control. We are just going to drive the combination of that into the amplifier. That is why a home theater system is so quiet, or your home amplifier is so quiet, because the amp is not running full throttle waiting for the preamp to get louder. Now, on a powered speaker and a regular preamped output mixer like we have here, and your source, all of those have volume controls on them. They all have gain controls to get to the actual amplifier. So it becomes a cumulative as you go along. So let's pull out the whiteboard. So our goal, if I do this right, let's put this right here. Let's do this way. There we go. Okay. I'm just checking the camera over there to see that I've got this right. Okay. So our goal is 100%. Okay, that's horrible. I really need to get a bigger marker. Okay, our goal is 100%. Now, for us to reach 100%, there you go. That's better. Look at that, me and the whiteboard. For us to reach 100% in volume output, we need to add some things together. Normally, we're going to have ourselves our mixer and our speakers. Now, we could also have whatever input we're using. So let's say controller. Now, terrible writing. What happens is that we're going to set our gain levels on the output of everything. And it's always going to be a plus to reach 100%. So if I am trying to reach, let's say 1.25 as my input, let's just make it 100, so this way we're not really, yes, I know it's always 1.25, but we're just going to say 100. 100% on our output, we're going to start adding this. Now, normally, we're going to decide, first and foremost, what our mics and levels are on our mixer. We're going to go here and we're going to set our unity output. So we're going to drive this as an output and we're going to set that at 100, which basically means we have no room for gains here or here. Our mix, all right, was that the speaker? No. I should have put speaker on the top. Let's fix this. I'm going to put speaker up here. Okay, speakers 100, okay? There, my apologies. Speakers are 100%. So 100% maximum capability, okay? Not 100% maximum volume. The volume knob may only be at 75%. We're talking about the limit light on the back of the speaker. Now we're going to have a combination of things to reach that goal. You've got your levels on the back of the speaker, okay? So that's that dial that allows you to turn it, and it goes from usually a unity or a 0 all the way to whatever it has. If it says plus 10, then that means unity was over here somewhere. That was unity. Okay, that's where I'm putting my U. If it doesn't, a lot of them just say U right here. So it'll say whatever it wants. Usually it's 0, and then it has U on the other side. U is unity. Unity is as much volume as it can take. And it's not going to go over. A lot of receivers do offer you that option to be a little bit higher there. Now, your mixer is going to have the same thing. It's going to have a knob or a slider. It's first going to have it on the levels and on the gains. So the gain is so you can get a signal in, okay? So you're going to set this either at 0 or somewhere to plus whatever it says. It could be as high as plus 60. So let's say you set that somewhere in the middle, which is going to be 30. Then you have at the bottom of your mixer, you're going to have your level output. That's the actual output you set to go out of the mixer. You may decide, depending on a microphone plugged in or not, if we're just hooking up your controller to it and you're no microphone, because you're definitely going to have a mic, you're going to have to set this output. Now, before I set this output and the main output of the actual mixer, which is the main, right? I really got to get better at this. Some people make it look so simple, right? I don't have an easel to put it on. I need to come down to my controller. Now, I'm not trying to adjust how I use control. I want to use control the same way every single time. What I want to do is I want to find my main levels out, the actual levels that are going to be sent out of the actual mixer, and that's what's going to feed through the controller, or sorry, through the laptop, and then maybe I'm skipping it, maybe I'm hogging it and taking it right to the mixer, or maybe I physically plug this into the mixer, okay? So if I did that, I want to find those levels, and I want to set those levels at 100% because I'm going into the mixer. Not full volume, by the way, because that's probably more than you need. You want to go close to 100 or 75, depending on what type of control you have. That's somewhere where you want. You want to get to a number that you feel comfortable with. Then when you go from here and you plug that into your mixer, you're going to take your mixer and you're going to gain this dial up on top. So this way you're going to run that until you see good solid green light on your peak level, your signal level coming in. Good. Now you're going to go over to your main out. That control dial way at the end. Go to that main out. You then set that main out to unity. Getting there now. Now this is your main button right here. That is your level setting for the channel you have your controller plugged into. That is the one you're going to turn up until you get the unity lights to go all the way to 0. They're flashing at 0, and that's going to be your most aggressive song. They're flashing at 0. This can be anywhere from 3, most likely, all the way up to 6. And we're talking 6 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Because it's reading off of this right here, the signal that came off of your controller, okay? The way you run your control as a DJ is like driving a car. You're in your NASCAR, you're racing around the track. The car is dialed in. You know how to drive it. You drive it the same way every time. The mechanic's job is to make sure that all of this meets maximum capability for the output of the speaker. Now, if you do all of this and your speakers are way too loud for the venue you're doing, turn your speakers down. That's all you need to do. Turn your speakers down, and then you've achieved the room. Now, what me and James are going to be talking about is talking about how to control a crowd. So this way, when people ask certain questions, you can, make them feel important, but you're still in charge. So there you go. So put it this way, this is how the way you get your 4 matched tires, perfectly staggered, perfectly matched, to get you around bend number 4. So you will hold the track, you will make the corner, you will cross the finish line. Because if you do anything, trust me on the tires. Don't be such a pansy and going off the deep end. Anyways, if you know what movie that's from, by the way, leave it in the messages. Awesome. And that's why I spent a whole $12 on a whiteboard. And it also came with 2 erasables and an eraser and magic markers. And it even came in a blue. Ooh. I really got to find a better reason to use it, and I got to practice. So hey, but that's all right. Sometimes you just have to justify why you talk so much, right, Robin? Absolutely. Okay. So that's going to be it for the show today. Like I said, if you want to get deeper into stuff, leave me some messages, stuff like that. I'm going to check and see if there was any big messages that were left from before, because I did have some messages earlier today between the last show and this show. So let's take a quick look, see if there's anything hot topic there that needs to be talked about, and we'll go from there. 1 hour ago. If you have a Bluetooth speaker and mixer, how can I get the volume out of my microphone that plugged into the mixer? I get music from my speakers, but no vocals from my microphones. And it seems like there's something missing in that. If I have a Bluetooth speaker and the Bluetooth mixer, yes, how can I get my vocals out of my microphone that's plugged into the mixer? Get the music from the speaker, but no music from the microphone. Okay. So I'm going to find this person, Ruth 1. Anyways, so it's just a simple, your Bluetooth is hooked up to your, so it's like a trivia game here. This is really big. So the person has a Bluetooth speaker and a Bluetooth mixer and a microphone. Getting sound out of the microphone, but not getting music from the mixer, or sorry, not getting music out of the speaker, but not hearing the microphone. So I'm going to say that you're actually listening to the Bluetooth straight into the speaker, and you're not using the Bluetooth in the mixer, and then hooking the mixer up to the speaker properly, so you're listening to that. That would be my advice to that. And by the way, sometimes the simplest things that we don't notice are the things that cause the biggest issues. Okay. Now this is a question in reference to the LX12. So let me see if I can run through this, because I don't get these things all the time. This mixer is not a cheap mixer. This unit is a beast and very easy to run. Oh, there you go. I'm taking that's a whole compliment right there. And we're talking, amazingly enough, about this mixer right here. This is from DJ Boom. And yeah, prefer running my DJ setup, and sound quality is great. Output are awesome. I use the mono output 1/4 inch split. I kid you not, he's saying that right now out of the mains. For his 2 subs, separated from the main unit. Highly recommend this mixer. Give it a try and you won't be disappointed. Ta-da! I'm not full of BS. There you go. Somebody's actually using it. Harbinger needs to add a 7-band EQ and more speaker outputs. Now that would be pretty funky. And this is in reference to a different one. It's called the LV12. Doesn't have USB options to it. I found it to be a very silly mixer because it had no compressors and it had no USB output. Give me something on it, right? It's got Bluetooth, that's it. So it's a good karaoke mixer, I guess, and a good mixer for a setup for a band. But I'm a fan favorite of the LX. Now, I do agree. If I was to critique, and Harbinger always asks me to critique stuff. If I was to critique Harbinger's mixer line and ask what I would want to see in a mixer, I would love to see a 16-channel or 12-channel mixer with at least a sub bus output. That's 1 and 2 channels sub out, and then you have a main out. So you have some more functionality and control. And then I would love to see 2 effects options, not 1 processor, but 2 processors. I know this is crazy. This is crazy. There are mixers out there that have it. So this way, people can have their own effects, or you can hook up effects for a guitar separately for effects for vocals on one mixer. Whoa. And then I would have, because people do like it, and it used to be on, let's say, the Mackie mixers, which was a big selling feature on it. It was really nice. It was on the 12, and I think all their lines, their Pro Effects 12V2 series, their generation before this one. They had 7 and 9 band mixers on it. It was awesome. It was awesome. And that's to EQ the room, because all the channels have their own mid, highs, and low setting to them. So it's a lot of mechanical manual add-ons, but that would be so awesome. If you have 2 monitor outputs, you go, again, whole hog on the whole thing. 2 monitor outputs, 2 effects, dial-in options, you would become the #1 selling mixer on the market. It's not the cheapest mixer. It would just be the best selling mixer that you're going to buy, because everybody's going to love that mixer, regardless if you're in a band or not. Because most people don't realize that, I'm going to say, a good chunk, if 50% more of the mixers are bought for home karaoke setups. Most people don't realize that karaoke is the #1 driver that sells mixers. Ta-da! All right, so we're going to leave it at those questions there. I think we've done a great time tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody who's taking a look. I'm going to take a quick little browse here at the comments left for today. And we got a Caleb. Okay, hi, question. I have to do a tear down the echo on my speaker. Sorry, what? I have to do trying to figure out the echo on my speaker. I'm not reading that right. I'm sorry. There's something there. I have a question. How do I turn down? Oh, there you go. Duh, it's me. All right, no problem. I see it now. Turn down the echoes on my speaker. Are your speakers echoing all by themselves? Like, I mean, if I plug a microphone in the back of the speaker, so if you're plugging your microphone in the back of your speaker and you're getting echo, is it echo or feedback that you're getting? Are we sure on what we're asking for here? Because if I'm hearing echo, that means I'm looping. Something's looping on my mixer. I can make it happen here, but it's nasty. It's just, especially if I'm running it off a computer. Sometimes I'm hearing my voice come back from the computer because I'm not always using a 0 delay processor, which allows me to go in and out of the computer seamlessly with like no more than a 5 millisecond delay. And then when you do that, if that's what you're doing because you're trying to do something on your computer or on your TV, you're going to end up hearing your voice the first time and as an echo or reverb the second time, just offset. And it just drives you nuts because it eventually piles up, stacks up. So normally you want to check and make sure that you're not looping any audio back in to your mixer, and turn down other channels and turn one up at a time. Start with your microphone, no effects, nothing else dialed in, nothing else turned on, don't have anything else plugged in. Have that go to your speaker, listen to that, work your way, turn one thing up at a time, push one button at a time, and eventually you'll find that one thing that's triggering it, and then you'll be able to solve that one little problem. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly which problem it is, but I do know where to troubleshoot it. So I hope you figure that out. And by all means, keep me up to date on that. And and what do we got? Rick had a follow-up. Do I need a sub? So Ricky's questions on the 4412. Will you need a sub enough, or do I need? So if you get a pair of 4412s, you can go one of two ways. You have to. I still don't know how you're using them, so that's the important part. You might want to just tell me there, and I'll go check right now how you're using these. Are they for home? Are they in a band? Are they for DJing? Are they for your workshop? Are they for, you know, what are you doing with those subs, with those 4412s? Now, if you're using them in any enclosed environment, personal use, I'd get the 15 from Alto. Like I said, I have two 12s here, I have two 18s, and I have a 15, and the main sub that I use in this space every day is the 15. It's just the right size for me here. So that would be my thing. If you get the 18 and you're in an open space, then that's not bad. The 12s, I wouldn't buy the 12s at all with those speakers. So I would only buy the 15 from Alto or buy the 18. And if you're going for higher quality, higher performance, and it's in the budget, buy the Alto 18-inch sub. It is a better sub than Harbinger. Harbinger is a good sub, but it's the same as a whole bunch of other subs out there. And if you want something a little bit better for roughly the same price, it might cost $100 more. I don't know if it's on sale or not. I know this guy is right now. So I'm just saying, I do think when it comes to amazing studio quality performance out of a subwoofer, on purpose or by accident, Alto got it right. So, and especially at the price points they asked for it. So that's really, really important. And DJing, small family parties. Yeah, you know, if you're DJing small family parties, if it's in the budget to get the 18-inch from Alto, I would do that, because you're not always going to use it for DJing small parties. You may use it for your own personal use. If you want to go for value added and not give a shit, get the extended warranty on an 18-inch Harbinger, and don't worry about it because you got the extended warranty. That's mean to say, but it's true, right? So it's, you know, I'll show you how to make sure you don't blow it up, but in case, you'll have the warranty. And yeah, so what do we got now? We've got, yeah, great show tonight. So much helpful. Thanks, James. Appreciate that. And now we got DJB from DJB Entertainment. I'm assuming that's what it comes from, right? There you go. Your video has helped me out so much. I appreciate it. You let me know that. I do. Thank you very much. Just out the Harbinger LX. It's awesome. There you go. So thank you again there. And yeah, use my links, by the way. And if you're going into the store, because we haven't figured out how to do it in the store yet, because they are working on something, hopefully, so this way you can bring that information. But do let them know that you learned about it from me if you're going in store, because that's always the important thing. And because, you know, the more they know, the better it is for both of us, right? All right. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody here. And yeah, so that we got the DJB, yeah, has the following. He has the 18-inch sub and just ordered a second one. So the system will be complete. There you go. Lots of people like that Alto sub. I tell you, if it's the right size sub for you, it sounds great. So there we go. We're going to call it a wrap for tonight. I hope this helped you out. I hope you got something out of it. I certainly do. Every time I do this, it's like, you know, figuring out how this all works. So, and I want to say thank you again very much for taking the time to watching this show. And yeah, so there you go. Rick, down the street from Guitar Center. Yes, you're down the street from Guitar Center, where you're lucky. It's like going to a candy store all the time. You know, if the people are nice to you and you get in there at the right time, you're good. I always mock it because if anybody out there is like, they play guitars, stuff like that, I think every Guitar Center should have a guitar room, because people would come to my store because I didn't sell guitars. And it's nothing bad about people who buy guitars. It's just that it's like trying on shoes at a fancy high-end store. It's like they're all coming in and buying a wedding dress. It's all about them all day long. Why are you playing those speakers so loud? Turn them down. I can't hear the guitar. I'm just, you know, that's always been my thing. I think every Guitar Center should have a guitar room so people can go over there and enjoy themselves for half an hour and play guitar, because you are buying an instrument and you should be able to play it. But at the same time, if you're coming in to buy some speakers and subwoofers, you should be able to hear that too, as much as anybody else. That's just my gripe when I go into a music store outside of the store I owned, which is why my store was built the way it was. That's just me. That's just the way I am. All right, guys. I want to say thank you to everybody very, very much. And we'll see you soon. It's the weekend, so everybody enjoy yourselves, because depending on where you live, you may be having a holiday. So have some fun. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.